Hey guys, this is Chris with Ron Boots Farm, and today we're talking about shade in the garden. So today in this video we're going to talk about shade and full sun out in the garden. Now a lot of you, and you can see it's hot and the sun's shining. I'm out here, my head's shiny and I'm sweating. It's just the first part of June and it's already 90 degrees right now in the middle of the day. The high today is supposed to be 94 and the heat index is already 98. So, there's a difference in full sun when you're talking about Texas full sun, or you're talking about, up north or northeast, the northwest, or, somewhere like Montana, North Dakota. It's a lot different than growing down here in Texas. And I'm even in, what most we consider North Texas, just south of DFW, south of Dallas, instead of, down in around Houston or even South Texas. So, when plants say, you see, on a plant and it says it needs full sun, you got to take into consideration where you're growing that at. So we're today going to look, I've had a lot of questions when I post videos of why I planted fruit trees in my garden. And some of that is mainly just so there will be some shade. I won't let those fruit trees get real high. I will keep those trimmed down and thinned out to where there's airflow, plus where some sun can get through to the vegetables underneath. But that shade is not going to hurt these plants. So I'm going to flip around here and we'll talk about some of this. Where our garden begins, there's this huge tree right here that keeps this end in the shade a good majority of the day. The sun in the morning, even the shade will be on further down here. As the sun gets on around, it's about 1 in the afternoon now, give or take. I didn't look at the exact time, but you can see where the shade is. So all of this is in the shade all the way until the afternoon, and I've still got squash and zucchini growing in these hay bales. And of course some of these plants I planted down here knowing that they were cooler weather plants, and when the heat got here it would help them to be in the shade. So I strategically planted this kale, the cabbage, that broccoli over there that I've harvested most of, but you can see some of it bolting, especially right there. Got one more head there that I could get, but I planted it down here. The potatoes, and these Brussels sprouts, and this lettuce here that's bolting. I've been feeding that to the rabbits, is why I've left it in here. But still, we're getting a lot of good stuff down here, even though this is in the shade most of the time. If you walk on down here, well, first of all, let me see, right there, there's a pear tree. Now I do plan to trim these limbs back. They have spread out a little bit further, and time this tree gets up to any size at all, they'd be interfering. So I am going to trim these back some, but that shade hasn't hurt anything right now. Down here, there's another double grafted pear tree right there, and we have 2 apples on down there. And you can see just in the afternoon, here's a squash or zucchini, I can't remember which one this is, and the leaves are already wilting, even though this was just watered not long ago, just from the heat of the day. And as we get on into July and August, that will get even worse. When we're up, when it's staying hot all night and we're up into the upper 90s or low 100s, and then have a heat index even higher than that, the plants are going to do fine with a little bit of shade. And that's one reason I planted the trees here. Now I wish I had moved them further this way, because this is, if you're looking this direction, this is the south, and so we get more sun from that direction. And so I wish I had moved the trees further this way, so they would give more shade towards the back of the garden. They are a little off center if you're looking straight down the middle of the garden, just because it wasn't as wide when I planted those. They were in the middle at the time, but then I ended up expanding it out a little bit, and so they're a little off. And so maybe at some point I will plant some other something towards the front end, maybe another short tree. I've even thought about planting rows of something like asparagus that gets up a little higher, or even sunflowers or something along the front edge that would give some shade to the stuff in the back. But right now everything's doing well, as long as we get plenty of water, and it will continue. But that shade definitely isn't going to hurt any of those plants as those trees get up a little bit. Again, I'm not going to let them grow huge, but I will let them get up decent size, keep them thinned out. But if you're down here anywhere, again, Texas, anywhere in the south, can you grow in full shade? No, that's not going to work. But you can definitely use a little bit of shade. That along with your mulch, help conserve some of your water and give your plants a little bit of rest during the day from just that sun beating down on them all day. Again, you can see these squash plants and zucchinis here, how they're a little wilted, and it's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Time we get over to 4 or 5 in the afternoon, they really will be wilted over, and then they'll pick back up overnight. So that's what I wanted to cover today. If you got any questions or anything, leave them down below, and we'll be happy to answer those. Look, we got some squash over there. See that down in there? And got a bunch of squash I just picked from that plant yesterday, and already more to go. Watermelon and cantaloupe down here just taking over. Feed Me Seymour going on down here at the end, if you know what that reference is from. Tomatoes banging here in the straw bales. And everything's looking good. So if you got a shady spot and you think you might want to plant something, if it's not full shade, you could probably get away with it if you're down here, especially where we have the heat. And if not, then of course you can always look at shade-loving plants and some vegetables, edible plants that you can grow in full shade. There are some out there, and maybe we'll do a video on those in the near future. So with that, guys, we appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.